G'day everybody, and welcome back for some more Archean with me and w4sted and our Turtle-copter. Which is, growing slowly. Do you remember where you were up to last week, w4sted?
No.
Okay, cool. I feel like you were working on the autocrafter a lot of last week.
I was, yes. I think I've generally come round to the conclusion that I don't want to work on an autocrafter.
Yeah, that sounds fair. I share your feelings on that.
I did some looking into it, and yes, it's going to be a faff.
Right. Are you thinking you will steal someone else's? I know Frosty's got one.
Don't know what you're talking about. As it should be in my list.
Basilio, there is AMD support.
It wasn't to begin with.
There wasn't to begin with, but there is now. Alright, so if you're not doing auto-crafting, then what do we need to do so you can... What do I need to do to help you be able to do some of the cabling and stuff you need to do? How can I help? In other words?
It's finding good router positions.
Okay. And computer positions, I imagine, as well.
And, you know, understanding that... Well, no, we should only need one computer. In reality.
Okay.
And if we use the routers, it only needs to be a mini computer, so we don't need the big old one. The only downside with the mini router is the lack of ports and screen, and we don't need either.
Okay. I mean, we've got plenty of room for a full-size computer if you think it would make any of your life easier.
It gives you a free screen. Oh, I do remember what I was doing at the end of last time.
Oh, there's more crafters.
Yes, I just walked over here and it reminded me immediately what I was doing at the end of last time. I was adding the 2 extra crafters to the chain because we've got... The splitter allows for us to have 4.
Okay.
The thinking being that, you know, it's easy enough to just leave one running plastic, leave one on single, etc.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing you could do is leave one on components, leave one on construction, one on parts, so you can easily switch between them, rather than having to use the arrows so much.
I remember exactly where I was at. Giveaway is here.
The extra cargo container?
That we can access. From through the wall.
Oh, were you about to redo all of it?
I was about to redo all of the back end in order to use that container instead of the other one.
Okay.
What I can do is start with the 2 on the right, get those hooked up for most of what's needed, so that when it comes to switchover time, the 2 on the left turn off, the 2 on the right turn on, and then I worry about the ones on the left.
Yep.
We have full uptime.
Alright. I'll try and make a computer. And how many routers do you think we're going to need? 2?
I have the computer. I might have used it for something. There was a mini computer about. How many routers will I need? It depends on how... It's basically about... Routers aren't that expensive, so it's where do you think the big clumps of wire are going to end up, and how well can we hide them?
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
You know what I mean? Because that's the way I look at the routers. It's just a way of hiding the wires a bit more neatly. Technically, you could just get away with one, but lots of mini ones means that we can keep all the wiring neat.
Okay. So... I should probably also change our time of day, because it is sunsetting and we don't want to be dark for the entire stream.
Ideally not, no. Surprisingly lighter than I was expecting.
Full moon. I guess.
Mm-hmm. Surely it would always be at full moon.
Yeah.
How full the moon is based entirely on where we are, and not where the moon is.
That is a very good point.
After you left last time, I developed the very exciting multi-prop configuration.
Oh, what's this out of?
The blades on the props don't have any collision checking, so you can literally stack props on top of props on top of props on top of props on top of props the whole way up.
So instead of
it does not mind. So
our turtle will be props all the way down?
Probably. I'm just thinking from the helicopter counter rotation perspective, you just plot one block on top of the other block, and there you go. After rotating rotors.
I take it we're not going to do that.
No, it looked really stupid and wasn't very effective.
Good.
We managed to get my plane from 156 meters a second to 176 meters a second with the addition of 2 more props and another meter on all of the prop spans on all of them. And even more interesting, I think you might be interested to hear about this one. It ran faster without full-sized props.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah. There's more maths going on there than you might think.
Because I assumed, clearly wrongly, that with the high voltage you basically had unlimited torque, so you just wanted bigger rotor go faster.
Mm-hmm. And no, it looks like there is some modeling of drag, like propeller drag, and potentially even prop interference, as in too many props near each other actually causes turbulence.
Yeah. Interesting. Also, we're about to be out of carbon.
I'm going to do some mining.
How are we out of carbon?
Because it's used to make plastic.
Oh, well, I just thought we had so much of it to begin with.
Yeah, don't know.
Weird. Oh, we're now out of carbon completely. So now I can make... What's my next step? Circuits, that's what I was looking at. That'll do. Is there carbon in the concrete? No, it's silicon. Silicon is in the concrete.
The old plasticrete.
Yeah. How million blocks of concrete? Right, so what am I lacking now? Got panels. Screws? No. Wire? No. Panel? No. Connector? No. So, 10 circuits for mini... 10 circuits per mini router!
Yep.
Oh!
They aren't that bad.
Circuits are, I mean, circuits were a bit annoying. They're less annoying now.
Hmm. Part of me is slightly tempted to put together some sort of horrid combine harvester sort of machine with just a line of drills across the front of it for maximum local ore harvesting ability.
Did you find a carbon deposit? Or did you just... Oh, you did?
No, there's actually a carbon deposit over here. Most efficient prop is a single blade with a counterweight.
Sure. I'm just taking part of the load now. I'm not using the cheesy insta transfer. I actually came over and grabbed it, and I will manually transfer it back. Feels too
Easy
cheesy.
instant transfer.
Well, I can just walk over there and just drag it straight into the base. Because containers don't have a distance, a maximum distance you can access them from.
Oh yeah.
Just odd. I imagine it might change, but it is what it is for now.
Certainly has an impact on survival behaviour.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine for that aspect it'll
infinite
change.
amounts of stuff with me. Essentially.
What are you doing, Twitch? What? This is weird. I just brought up your stream so I could see your chat. And I can't mute the thing, but I can't actually hear it either.
Have you muted the tab?
No. I don't think my chat could hear it either. Weird.
Drill, I'm fixing your blooming rover program.
Oh, it's fixed now. Oh, you're fixing the driving so that it's not so painful to do. That's good.
See, is this mess?
It's called learning. That's what that mess is.
Yeah. True enough.
Not the smart-ass answer you were looking for.
3, 4, 5, and into the negative.
Back to circuit. We'll make 30 of them.
I see the problem. There's still phantom wheels on this thing.
Yep, that would explain it.
It's like we've got a bunch of output channels here, and they're outputting to nothing. I think it's left over from when it was a car.
Probably. Alright, Wasted, I might actually need your input on these mini router placements.
Yep. Oh, we'll jump over in 2 seconds then.
Oh, Wasted. Apparently we can change the blades, the angle on the blades of the props. So maybe that changed after we learnt that we couldn't. As in we can change it with software.
Okay.
Yeah.
When?
Oh, you can
Swear
change...
people were quite
okay, here we
explicit.
go. Pitch angle, not twist angle.
Yes.
And we were talking about twist.
Yeah, that's not the same.
That's different. Okay. Stuff the computer needs access to.
Back over. Running for now. Yeah, it was twist and size we were trying to change on the fly because it would enable us to do crossover.
Yeah, no, did not. Game said no. So, what devices do you need to control, and where do we seem to have a bunch of them? Because I'm wondering whether you need to have a mini router per arm, or maybe one for the front pair and one for the rear pair.
Either works. If you do it front and back, you will end up with a fair bit of wiring going around the place, especially given that we've got hinges and stuff involved. You might want to consider one for each arm.
Okay. So if we do one for each arm, is there anywhere else you think would need to have a router as well?
Under the floor, bang in the middle. Maybe under the floor, bang underneath the pilot seat, but you know what I mean, one in the middle.
Okay.
One that I can web them all connected to.
Alright. Can do. And you saw where I put the computer down? On top of the cargo container for the moment?
Yep. I mean, in theory, that can be moved relatively easily because the routers kind of help with that.
Yeah.
Take the hard drive out and just put the computer wherever, you know?
I just thought it'd be nice to have it there for troubleshooting and stuff for the moment, and an easily accessible code button, which is something we definitely want.
I just never close it anymore. Just remains minimized at the top of my screen at all times.
Fair enough. Thanks, JMD. How's it going? Thank you for 32 months. Okay, one per corner. So we need 5 mini routers then. Can do. Which means more circuits. Needs more capacitors. Do we really need a separate router for the mining stuff?
No.
That feels like it could just go off the main one. Yeah.
Yeah.
My chat's suggesting one for the mining stuff, but that seems excessive.
It's just one thing. Not unless we plan to do some really complex stuff with it.
Yeah. Kind of fun seeing you move that screen around while I'm doing similar on this side.
It's an interesting system, but it works, so why not? Let's see then.
Does there make sense? That can be hideable. Yeah. Remember, only the router that plugs into the computer needs power. Okay. Sure. That's good to know. Did you know that, Wasted?
Someone had told me that. Do I follow that as advice? No, I forget.
Fair enough.
I will not deceive. Technically, yes, I am aware. I don't do it.
So with these routers, you want just a direct connection from each one to the central router and then one connection from the central router to the computer.
Yep.
Okay. Can do. Oh, yeah, that's a fair point. Should put the routers in the ends of the arms, not the starts of the arms. Sorry, chat. Oh, didn't quite get to the mute button. I will be right back. I just need to take a quick fire break.
No worries, dude. Answer is on the end up here. place I'm going to remove all of the other junk from. Whiskers game is solid, but it's definitely a game that will probably only appeal to a certain type of people, because it is very much on the complex end. With great features, but a lot of stuff that still needs to be worked on. It's very early access still. Not in a sort of, oh my god, it's totally broken sort of way, but more in a, you can see where the features that they are clearly hoping to add are missing. But you're missing a survival mode, for example. You're missing a notable threat. There's no true, like, resource scarcity, because outside of a couple of specific ores, you can kind of just go and dig anywhere. But Stationeers would be a relatively good comparison for, you're going to play this because you enjoy systems and complexity, not because you're going to spend the whole time building super pretty things or whatever. But with the advantage that this does have both a bit more freedom and I guess a bit less freedom in some ways versus Stationeers. Obviously, Stationeers is more complex in other ways to this, but this is got some of that Space Engineers kind of freeform sandbox. Do you want to fly? Do you want to drive? Do you want to sail? Do you want to...
That all sounds quite fair to me.
Welcome back. Yeah, no one to mislead folks. The game is definitely a certain style of game.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing for me, but for some, I can see it being. Some are going to struggle to gel with this in comparison.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the same with Stationeers. all these quite complex games can be quite off-putting in their own ways, and it just depends whether they make up for it enough other ways to suit a particular person.
To almost justify that. I mean, justify is not quite the right word, but yeah. To not have those elements be a spoiling factor.
Yeah, it's got that kind of vibe to all these sorts of games. Because when you look at any of these engineering games, but I mean, on the Stationeers versus this, Stationeers goes for atmospherics, oxygen not included style complexity, but doesn't have the motoring and mobile complexity that this and Space Engineers have.
Although I can see possibility with this going down the route of having the atmospherics complexity as well. There's already a fair bit of information present, and like that's a fair bit more complex than what Space Engineers would provide.
Absolutely.
You know, it does tell you flow rates and things like that, which just suggests that down the line, this information could be used for something.
Yeah, and depending on how they go about implementing their air tightness, would see how much they can go down the Stationeers route. Because Stationeers route is, air tightness is the big thing that it does differently to other games.
And I think would always be a weird one with this one, because as far as I'm aware, we're not humans, so we don't need air.
At least we're not yet.
Let me have carbon again. Lindsay?
Yes?
Can I request that you queue and do anything you might need queuing and doing, because I am about to tear it all apart.
Okay, I'm going to make myself a data spool.
You don't want to clean up the ones I put in this box?
In a roundabout way, I might be. Yeah. I'm going to test something that I was told about.
Oh, he's got a plan. No, that's...
It might be a little cheesy, but it may also be something that you quite like enough that you'll do it anyway.
Suspicious. I am not saying it's impossible to do survival Android style. I'm just saying oxygen won't be bit of it, won't be part of it. Gases are unlikely to be an important part of it because what does an Android need gas for? I can see plenty of other elements you can do, like I say, sort of weirdly, dust could be a problem. You know, there's a few things you could do, but unless they change the base idea that you're an Android, a lot of the survival elements are just not going to exist.
Wasted, would you like an ultra-long spool?
What on earth? Okay, so you've made it work.
Pick up that 500-meter spool.
Shenanigans.
Yes. I have performed shenanigans, as suggested to me in a YouTube comment last week.
Yep, that does appear to work. I mean, I have a data spool at the moment, so... I could ask you how it's done, but I don't want to. I quite like the idea that Splitsy's just the man that goes and untangles the Christmas lights.
There is a small part of me that is actually that person.
Mm-hmm.
It's why I always got along well with the intensive care nurses at work. Because they're the same. Anyone who's worked in a hospital who's worked with intensive care nurses knows the truth of that statement. And I do not say it as an insult. Doesn't like that. Okay. And I think low voltage cable, I want a big spool too. So, back onto the eco topic.
Okay. What you get?
I'm just so curious, because eco to me is a game that kind of, it appeals to me on some levels.
I had a feeling it would. It was slightly surprising that you hadn't played it, because it's got it's got a level of complexity to it that's quite... To describe it right, sort of, it's quite a high-level complexity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I have played it, and I wouldn't be surprised if I've owned it and played it longer ago than you did, but...
Oh, I'm sure.
Because it didn't have the survival element, I was like, this needs to be a large group thing. And I have never had the time to play on a server that had some of that going on to get a feel for how it worked, to see how it could then apply to anything I might try and do as content, which would then allow me to have the time to play it.
Yep.
And so that's why I'm always fascinated in what you're saying about it, because you've taken that time, you've done those things, and I feel like you and I understand each other to a level that you can articulate it in a way that I then understand what the heck, how it might apply.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what's made me so genuinely curious about your experiences with that server, and that server compared to when you played it with just your community. Because I presume with just your community, it'd be very similar to when I would have played a game like that with my community, where everyone's really well behaved and cooperative.
Okay then, so it will probably come as a surprise to you that on the community server we devolved into two completely separate groups to the extent that one group completely quit. And I could argue that the server we just played on was actually far more cooperative and far better behaved from us than we were
really?
when left to our own devices.
Why did it devolve? Have you got any ideas?
Yeah, I know exactly why it happened, because I was leading one of the two sides. I was not particularly explicit at the start, almost intentionally. I wanted to see what would happen naturally.
Right.
What happened naturally was a bunch of people who have played Eco before got together quietly in the background, agreed to form their own settlement, and went off and did that. Which left another group kind of as individuals that were relatively inexperienced to figure it out on their own. And the two groups, one used currency to, the new people were experimenting with what the game was about, and shops and currency is one of them. The other group was pure communist. And so there was basically no interaction between the two, with the exception of the farmer, who I discovered later down the line, they'd gone and started buying off to give them the crops before us.
Okay.
I think the easiest way to describe it is it really helped when it came to the public server we just played, and it probably didn't help with that server that there was no structure from the start. It's one of the things that I sort of regretted with that one. It was like there needs to be guidance right off the bat as to what you expect the server to look like. And it's something I definitely would do in future. But as part of that, know for a fact that just going, you're lot socialist, you're lot capitalist, isn't enough.
Yeah. Because that was kind of my assumption. When it came to this
server, it was like, okay, well, this is a worryingly small amount of information being provided too late for us to then go and just figure it out for ourselves. So, we did get given a socialist Discord channel with all the leaders in it the day before everything went live. Some people didn't even enter this, and some people weren't even in that channel because the way they handled it was you had to privately contact them and request access. Oh. And so it was like, okay, so this is a leadership channel that doesn't contain all the leaders and was only formed too late to do anything as leaders.
Right.
So yes, it's an interesting one, and one where, because it basically boils down to the way the progression system works in Eco, the way it's the way most of the systems work in Eco. People have to have some inherent interest in working with other people.
Yes.
If you don't, it plain doesn't work. And that includes, even if you've got a group to work with internally, if you have no reason to want to work or cooperate externally, the skill system will punish you. You can't, the way you gain, I'm sure you know this, but just for people listening, the way you gain skills in Eco is over time. You start with a skill point you can spend right off the bat, but then the next skill point comes over time. And when I say over time, I mean, we didn't get our second skill point in this server until day 3 or 4. Real time, day 3 or 4.
Oh.
And of course, these skills dictate the whole server progression. So if someone goes in right at the start, and because there's been relatively little agreement, there's no interest in, no established cooperation has been set, you get groups where everyone picks up a log cut, everyone picks up a miner, everyone picks up a farmer, everyone picks up a cook. Cool, now we have no skill points left, and we're frozen in time until we get that next star. We cannot progress beyond a set point because everyone spent their stuff because we did not communicate about it. Mm-hmm. And then players burn out because they're like, well, I'm not going to spend the next 4 days cutting wood. And who am I going to sell it to? No one wants it because no one can make anything out of it yet. Because honestly, you need to be quite forward thinking in Eco as well. But the answer is yes, that wood will be useful in 4 days' time. It's not now, but in 4 days' time, you're going to be pleased to have it. So, and the forward-thinking people go, cool, well, that means I can buy it now and sell it later. And the less forward-thinking people go, well, there's no point playing. I'll come back in 4 days.
Yeah.
And you have that happen a few times because there's a lot of skills in Eco and you need all of them pretty much to take the meteor down. You have that happen a few times, and you have no one left. Especially if the few people that manage to pick up the right skills, manage to be progressive, aren't sharing.
So,
If there's a bit of selfishness going on as well, if one group researches the ability to become blacksmiths, gets a blacksmith off the bat, but then decides that instead of sharing the ability to be a blacksmith, they will profit from the fact that they are the only one.
So that'd be if the capitalists were the ones that did that.
Honestly, it can happen for socialism as well. You just be awkward about it. But yeah, the capitalist is a prime example of where you can kind of lock your own side down by not sharing enough. Especially as no one's online 24/7. So what happens when you're not online and someone needs something done? Isn't that just locking the progress up again? Because that woodcutter's busy making the research for milling, and he needs something from you, but your play times don't overlap. It is a bit like a social experiment, Shadowstorm. Kind of why it's interesting, honestly. And things get even more interesting when you start adding in government, and could potentially be more organized and controlled once you started adding in government. But to get government, you need the right skills and the right buildings and the right... To be able to have minted currency, you need the right skills and the right buildings and so on. So if you mess it up too bad to begin with, all of the following stages start slowing down and falling apart and not interconnecting like they should. And so there is this inherent, as much as they might like to think of it as a sort of economic experiment, it would be a very extreme example where capitalism wins and socialism doesn't.
Yeah. And I feel like that side of things was kind of a foregone conclusion. When you said to me that it was capitalist versus socialist, I'm like, the capitalists aren't going to win in a game. Unless you create some other reason, like unless you create some more real world reasons for them to go that route. And it then starts feeling even more contrived, I reckon. In some ways.
In some ways, yeah. A lot of it sort of almost depends on cooperation, not from the angle of like, I actually need to go and cooperate with that guy in that settlement over here and we share skills and whatever. But cooperation from the angle of everyone understands what the server goal is, what it's trying to look like.
Yeah.
And so that can extend to people that are on opposite sides as well. One of the things that very much surprised us was how few capitalists tried to trade with us.
Oh, were they being isolationist capitalists?
To some extent, yeah.
Oh, that doesn't work.
It was just like, surely, we ended up reaching out to them for the trade-offs. It was like, surely this should be the other way around. If anyone's the trade hub here, it's the capitalist side.
Yeah. So I imagine...
Joe is correct, though. He's just mentioned in chat. The socialist approach falls apart once the server gets too big.
Yes.
That's where capitalism then takes over.
Yes.
When you're in a situation where you're not looking at a resource scarcity because you can't find the people to do the jobs, but you're looking at resource scarcity from actual resource perspectives and so on, then your whole capitalist market starts working and making some sense.
And also the more capex you have.
And
people making nonsense.
Again, it helps to have some people that are really bothered about making their house look really nice and want to go out and buy stuff that's not just for looks. Although they did intelligently tie the rate you gain experience at into how well fed you are and how nice your property is.
Yep.
So it kind of has this intrinsic loop where it's like people are not getting fancy stuff just because it's fancy, because replicating real life, like, that doesn't work. But the fancy stuff actually does have a purpose, and so people still want it.
Which is very much needed.
I've made this sound all very negative. There is probably not a more cooperative game than Eco out there at the same time. It has a lot of good things going for it as well.
So, after what you've experienced on the 2 different servers, I presume you've already started thinking about what you would do if you were going to run another one.
Already arranging it.
Yeah.
And the answer is that the best situation is to find someone conscientious and willing to take the time to plan and run it properly, and then ensure that when you're running the people you're running it with is a varied and mixed group, not just your own community.
Yep.
That just your own community approach will be it's just so internally focused. You miss so much of what makes Eco a good game.
Mm-hmm. I think I've made my life easier a little bit with this wiring now. So, do you feel like the capitalist versus socialist thing is the right approach, or have you thought of a different political divide?
I'm not sure there needs to be a divide.
Okay.
Some of my current thinking is to not have a divide. Have a server goal, but have that goal not be to do with something that's divisive like that, but instead have it something else.
To allow things to evolve in their own path.
Yeah, it needs something, and it was a very good experience not having everyone live as part of one settlement, not have that was another downside to the server I ran. When you don't have enough people, you have an town. And everything takes place in that one town, and either you live in the town or you don't live in the town. And if you don't live in the town, then you miss out all the benefits, and if you do, you do. And you're constantly immersed in exactly the same environment. It is far nicer having to travel, transport, trade. So I'm strongly of the opinion that Eco is a not quite larger group better situation, but you definitely want like a minimum number, and that minimum number is not small.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't want less than 80 to 100 people.
Yep. It's hard to get that many people who play the same game.
I will admit that's why I made sure that every single person that was on the socialist side that we had any interactions with, I grabbed their contact details and mentioned that I'd be doing something in future, and that if they were interested, an invite for them and their community would be coming that direction, because biggest benefit of this, that's a bunch of people we know already we can work with. We know already there's not so much, the communities are similar enough that it doesn't have too many problems.
Makes sense.
At which point I might as well hassle a splitsy as well, by the sense of things.
I'm certainly open to the idea. So yeah, when you work out what it is that you're doing, I'm certainly open to it. I have no idea how many people in my community even have Eco, but I know there's at least a few. I've been asked about it in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, with the routers, does it matter which port gets plugged in where? Or are they just universal?
No, it's all alias based.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah, I do feel like sometimes with these sorts of games you have advantages from having someone who is often intentionally a little bit difficult, hence my comment about Capac. So I think there is something to be said for that person who is going to do what they want to do, no matter what other people tell them, but obviously with some sense of when that becomes a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's the tricky bit. It's a lot of people who are like that don't have that sense of when it's a problem.
Yeah, I'd say it's another thing that Eco kind of leans itself towards, intentionally or otherwise, is people who are up for a modicum of role playing, and I don't mean funny accents and that sort of thing, pretending like you got a dark history that you need to tell everyone about. I'm not talking about that sort of role playing. I'm talking about just getting into the mindset of, for example, next server, I've already decided I want to run a warehouse and distribution network, potentially even turn it into a mega mart.
Yep.
There is no specific role for that in Eco.
Yeah.
In fact, no skills would be involved. But that's what I mean by role playing. Is there's plenty of things you can do on the server that aren't defined by skills that are still useful and build the interaction up.
And conveniently, you have nicely distracted me while I've been doing some cabling. Because, of course, I made my cabling difficult. Shop smart, shop waste mart.
Damn right. I like it. I'm having that. That was partly inspired by the end of that server, because towards the end, obviously the timing was so short on getting the sort of survive the end of the world objective done, that towards the end, it was basically everybody left on the server was helping, and we were the ones running the big factory making everything.
Yep.
So everything gets delivered to us.
Yeah.
And after a while, when it got down to like 2 days left, and we were just telling everybody, like, we need as much as we can get of these 3 materials, just bring it. It was getting to the point where a lot of the time was spent just going, we built a massive warehouse, like massive stockpile in the field outside our base, because there wasn't anywhere to keep it anymore. We weren't going through it fast enough. And I was like, there's clearly some use to this. Maybe I'll do this more seriously in future.
Oh, I love that I've got freedom to just do the cabling loosely all underneath. It's only the silly arms that I have to do it neatly. So once I get these routers plugged in, then can you think of other cabling tasks you can get me to do before I've reached a point where you actually need to start plugging things in?
Yeah, propellers and all of the bits on the ends. And also, if we want to run them, if we want to have them, every single light in the thing needs power and data.
Every light. Oh yeah, I can put lights in. Yep, cool.
I did this on my submarine, and I was like, I put all the lights on, and then only afterwards went, oh god, of course, every single last one of these now needs connecting up to something. No, I'm refused, I'm not doing it.
I suppose we need to decide what lights we need as well. So I presume we want some spotlights pointing downward. As well as
Ability
forwards.
to see, always helpful.
Spotlights downward.
Another thing
forwards.
I think you'd quite like about Eco is it's got some sufficient similarities with Minecraft that you can do some quite funky things with, in particular, the water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you know like Minecraft water physics, it's the same as that. And so you can do some very interesting things where, you know, we ended up with a nice flooded, what was it? It was 16 water wheels about 50 meters underground. We just walked through the cave, came around the corner, and there was this huge like water wheel complex down there.
Yeah, I think I dropped by your stream briefly when you were talking about that cheese wheel.
Yep. Well, it's not cheese. not pure cheese.
I know, it was just fun to call it a cheese wheel. Wolfenstein, you haven't missed too much unless you missed last week. I've mainly been doing cabling. Yeah, Eco's just always been one of those games that anytime I've spoken with my community about what multiplayer server thing might you want me to run, and someone always brings up Eco.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's always been the same person either.
I've had a bunch of friends that have played Eco in the past, like sort of almost pre-stream times, that have hassled me and been like, oh, you can play. And, well, it's an interesting one, because now having actually played the game, I'm really glad I didn't. There was only like 7 of them.
Yeah, it's... You need the human element for the game to really shine.
It doesn't really have anything else.
Yeah, exactly. I have looked many a time to see if anyone's made a mod for it that added like the animals being hostile or even basic stuff like that, and no.
Nope. The closest you get to hostile is if you are carrying a bow in your inventory, the animals will recognize you as a hunter, and they will slowly take down your stamina and growl at you if you're nearby.
Oh, terrifying.
Yes, I know. And I figured you'd be terrified by that, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
For the game, it makes sense.
it's
Not
what they
the
wanted their
hunter
game to be. Like
thing.
it's. I'm not faulting what they created. It's just not what I would have chosen. Because I feel like a lot of human decision making is made worse once you apply a little bit of pressure.
Yep.
And so
You don't even have to apply very much pressure.
No.
To be honest, it really doesn't need to be a huge amount.
just a little bit, and that bad decision making then leads to interesting interactions and outcomes.
Yeah, for sure. You end up in a slightly sort of dangerous position because obviously those outcomes and the like are taking place in a way that they will directly impact other individuals as well. You know, when someone does have a flaw of judgment, it's not just them it impacts.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's kind of part of it.
That's why so many games do gain a little bit of something out of combat and threats. Those threats, I mean, sorry, combat's not required. The threats. You just need a threat.
Meteor.
Which is the meteor in Eco.
It's not just the meteor.
Or pollution.
Even in our time, we were not far away from causing the first sea level rise. We'd already started damaging crop growth. You know, if the climate was getting more arid, the temperatures were rising.
Yeah.
Problem with that one is it's such a... Well, it suffers from exactly the same problem as it does in real life. It's very non-present.
Yeah. Slow.
Slow and requires you to specifically go and look. Only when it's too late will it come and rear its ugly head and tell you.
Right, so have we got functional crafters? We do not.
No.
Okay.
Close.
Wonder if we've got the parts anyway. We do. Low voltage bridges are exactly what I needed. We got 16 of them. I'm trying to put bridges in at the ends of the arms so that if we need to move the rotors or change some aspect of them, at least I don't have to redo the cabling in the arm.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a high voltage bridge in there too. And all the routers at the ends. Because I think that's going to be... I hope that's going to be a saving grace to any changes we might have to make later. I presume Eco, given the way that time and actions and stuff are allocated, goes some way to overcome the issue of some people can spend more time in the game than others? Or not so much?
Not so much.
Yeah.
The problem with that is, yes, but all you do is go and build another workbench, and then you can have parallel processing. You know, whatever it is you might do, you just go and build another of. And, you know, absolute worst case scenario, you can 100% spend an entire day cutting trees. You know, you can cut trees until there aren't any left. The limitation is calories, and calories you can always still eat.
Because that's one of the things that
they have an exhaustion mechanic to get around with it, which is literally you're allowed a set amount of playtime per day, after which all you can do is kind of run around, basically, and talk. Which is a solution, but I don't think a great solution, because all that does is put the emphasis on ensuring that people now have to play daily. Because if you don't, then you miss some of your time.
Yeah, I feel like if you could change that to weekly, it works. Because then you don't have to play every day, but you've got a maximum number you can do per week. Because it's worked on, like, so I've done that with a couple of community servers that I've run so far, and I'm currently doing it with a Space Engineers one, and it even works in Space Engineers.
Mm-hmm.
Just to allow that... to prevent that situation of the entire server being basically finished before you as a content creator who does this only once per week have even gotten started.
Well, some of that gets handled by the fact that your experience is gained over time rather than by your actions.
Yeah.
There is a type of experience gained by actions, but that is specifically the experience for that profession, not the experience that allows you to do another profession. So there's a bunch, and there's market limiters. Like, you can do your profession the entire day long, but does people need it? Do you actually need to supply a day's worth of whatever it is you do? I think the way we will probably approach it in the upcoming server is instead of having a like the exhaustion mechanic like that, because I don't know whether or not they allow sort of some sort of time accumulation or whatever,
Yeah.
is to tech lock the server. So the server as a whole gains skills at a set time. To some extent remove, or not gain skills at a set time, but can't gain skills until a set time.
Right. So it kind
The
of the
difference
equivalent
being
of
that-
when I ran the Valheim server, we only did the boss fights as a group. So you couldn't
to some extent, yeah.
you couldn't get any real progress until the whole group did it. I'm such an idiot. I'm doing cabling where I've already got cabling and worrying about it popping out the side. If I just follow an existing cable that I know doesn't pop out and is of a larger caliber,
Yep.
everything will be fine.
Yeah, that is a big one that I'm looking into because there is some of that. It's a very big commitment
Yeah.
getting into eco, and to some extent that's why the 2-week thing worked, is because yes, it was a big commitment, but it was a big commitment for only 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't want to do such a short server because it is so intense. But
Yeah.
it does mean that the longer the server's up for, the more the difference between the people with lots of playtime and the people with limited playtime stretches apart.
Yeah, you almost need to be able to give people extra if they join later so that they can play catch up. But then what's the incentive then of playing longer? And it's all gets very messy.
It gets messy very, very quickly, yes.
Yeah. It's a few people asked questions about that with the Space Engineers server and other servers I've run with time limits on them. And I was just like, honestly, because of how messy it gets, it's the decision I made was just not to even touch that. as soon as you start making that decision to go into that a little bit, you feel like you just fall down that rabbit hole the whole way. And there's just nowhere to stop. All right, we've got low voltage power, high voltage power, and data to each arm. I think I've done them all. Did I not do this one? Oh, I haven't done this one. Oh, I have. Oy. I just glanced across to your chat, and I see a comment from Ecto1 with nothing else previously in chat. That if it was anyone else would be creepy, but because it's him, it's amusing creepy.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's still slightly creepy, but...
I am always watching.
Hey, Ecto, how you doing?
Pivots are plugged in. We said we don't need to plug in those routers. High voltage bridges are in place. I now need to place props on these things. Plug them in. And then I should approach lighting. Let's get some... Oh, wait. I need to wait for w4sted to finish the production before I can do any of that.
Close.
Cool. Does look nice and neat. Can I use a data junction for a light, or will that make things bad?
You can, it'll just combine all those lights into turning on and off together, so... I wouldn't say bad necessarily.
Okay. Just figuring all the lights inside the craft might be alright to be on the same control.
Okay, so just power and water input to do, and a switch to turn off the noisy stuff.
Oh, you've cleaned up all the other messy bit too.
Yeah, it's all in there now.
Yeah. Ooh. I presume the one at this end is where we drop the ore in?
Is our input box.
Yep. Okay. Dodgy dad joke, eh? All right, let me find one.
Oh, on a fluid spool.
Okay, that one's pretty bad. Yes, Shadow, you are doomed. Doomed. My wife just dropped the laundry basket. She's angry that I just stood there and watched it unfold. Have we made a shiny lag machine? No, the performance seems okay. Or maybe not great when I'm looking that way. What's this game about? This game is about building vehicles in a complex, fully realized physics environment. Is sales pitch? I reckon I might know why the ray tracing is going a bit bonkers. And I will wait. Oh no, w4sted's been repainting the piping, so it's all matte finish. That's usually where we run into problems.
I was conscious.
It could be the permanent fixed cables we've got. Gone Orbital, I'm not expecting Wasted and I to be still playing this same session when the survival update for this game comes out. I'm anticipating the survival update is a long way off, and so we would probably be playing something else by that point and then come back to the game to play a new survival game.
Yeah,
That'd be
it's
my
next
estimate
major
of the time
feature,
frame.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if I've got any
gonna
grounds to estimate that, but that's my feeling of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Wasted and I had an endpoint for this, it would be when we decide to build something that's capable of going to the moon.
Yes, yeah. The end point is when we, and I think this is when we decide, as opposed to, I don't think there's a limiting factor here. We could do it now.
Yeah.
Is just the decision. All right, happy with stuff on the ground, etc. Time to go up.
No, I reckon we probably will get this craft working, attempt another submarine, and then it'd be after that, unless we've come up with some other idea after that point. It's the most likely. But knowing the two of us, there are many, many, many distractions that might change that path.
Yep. Is the reason why one of the things I've avoided doing in the Let's Mess Around After Split Years Ended sessions is doing anything to do with going up. With the exception of I found out what the flight ceiling is for propellers. Not intentionally, we were just flying. Then suddenly I was not going up anymore.
Makes sense? What do I need for low voltage junction? Oh, I can make one. Waiting for the shield helicarrier, hey? Feel like you might be waiting a while on that. Just based on how long it takes us to get anything else done. We brought it up, you're just waiting for it. We'll see how functional this thing is before we make any real dreams towards something bigger. I mean, Wasted's still waiting for me to finish cabling this thing up so that he can try and set up some sort of control scheme for it. Oh, I don't want to be inside the door. The cable. That stay inside. Yep, it's good. Another week of remembering that it'd be great if they added an ability to place things on the opposite face to what you're pointing at. Just a little hotkey to press. Huh. Yep. thinking for a moment, would it be easier for me to pipe this over to one of the routers at the end of the stalks? No. No, it would not. Given this has coding that is more accessible than space engineers, wonder would it be easier to make a walker? Maybe. The thing that, like, I think you can make a moderately functional walker in space engineers just with timer blocks. And with event controllers now, you can probably make it even easier. The trouble is they operate on too low a tick rate. So you end up with a walker that just moves real slowly, unless you script it. But other than the tick rate, you can kind of do it. But I think a lot of, as Salaroth's saying, a lot of the actuator components don't actually have physics effects yet, so you can't actually create a mech. Like I've made a crocodile that sort of walks using timer blocks only. I tried to make a functional capacitile because I was just like, yeah, why not give this a go, see if I can do it. And it kind of worked. It even had like body wobble and stuff as it moved. So the whole, like a crocodile does with that kind of snake-like movement to the body and then the legs just kind of minimally moving with it. But it's just one of those things that doing any sort of mech just requires so much troubleshooting that it just ends up being something that I rarely have the patience for. Yeah, I'm not going to bother putting lights on the front yet because I don't know exactly where the outside of the front is going to be, so I could put like low voltage and data bridges there so that I can have the cables ready to go, but I don't think it adds much considering all the cabling under here is intentionally left messy because I'm going to be putting another skin on the outside of it. But Wasted's almost finished with the crafters. I can get back over there and make the props to put on here. And then I need to find a spot to equip a pair of ground anchors because it's going to need that. And I was thinking a pair, and maybe at the back here or maybe on one of these side walls I'll put them. I think we need a pair so it's balanced. No other good reason for it. I just don't want to have it centerline at the front because the drill is centerline at the back. I feel like a lot of the real issues with mechs in the real world, it's not so much software as it is applicability. If people really believed that mechs could do something better than the alternatives, I feel like we would have progressed further on that front. But it feels like there's not enough. Spinzone, the ground effect flight, are you thinking things like an Ecranoplan? Because that's not possible. The way the ground effect works is... Wasted explained it last week, and I don't think I really remembered it, but it just affects certain things, not everything. I think it's just the lift generating components get it. So you still need the rest of it. You just will experience ground effect with a plane. You can't make an Ecranoplan. That sounded like crafting.
Yes.
That sounds like it's not working.
Sounds like one of them is working.
Oh. That's not fun.
Two of them are working. Oh, wait a sec. We know what happens here. This is because I haven't connected these switches up via the data cables, isn't it? No, they are connected. Damn it.
So the two on the left, the original two are working, and these two on the right aren't? Okay. Is it alright if I use these two to make some stuff?
Yep. Yep, I will go and try and figure out why these two over here are not working.
I will try and make some propellers.
Well, I know why that one's not working. It doesn't have one of the pipes connected to it. That would be a very good reason. Did I run out of... I may have run out of fluid pipe before I hooked them all up.
Would you like a fluid pipe spool?
I have a fluid pipe spool now, but I had forgotten that that is what I had done. Yes, so the two on the left end only have water, and it's not because I'd forgotten a fluid pipe, it's because I needed two more fluid junctions. So I have done the junctions slightly differently to how we had them before to make them a bit neater. But, yes. That means that with some auto-crafting functionality, a fluid junction might be able to be made.
We've got multiple fluid junctions in storage.
Do we?
19
Well,
of
that
them.
would do it. That's not enough. I need 20.
Well, I guess I can make you one more.
19 is just too few. We never end up making something that needs 20 fluid junctions.
Yeah, that seems a bit annoying. I think I might have left it on multi and made a bunch of them.
No, I think that was me earlier, actually. I clicked on multi, clicked it off immediately, having seen what it was, and in that like 0.5 of a second gap, it had made 18 of them, I think.
Now, with these propellers, on placing them, is there anything I need to consider?
Center of thingy is about it.
Okay. Center of thingy. I can deal with
center of thingy. No, center of thingy.
Yep. I'm good with thingies and whatsits. You want it fully centered on the rotor, don't you? Because if it's not perfectly centered on it, it'll be very weird.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we can do that. Or can we? No. Yeah, I imagine there might be construction environments where there might be some benefits, but people are so accustomed, like if we're talking about the mechs thing again, if people are so accustomed to the current limitations that we deal with. Oh, interesting. Issues like, if this mech needs to climb a wall, is it going to tear a hole in the wall because it's too heavy? Going to come up. Yeah, it feels to me like those sorts of things will probably find a place once people have figured out what they can do. But while they haven't, people are so accustomed to the limitations that they deal with now that they're not going to bother. And the investment is going to be a struggle. Or at least that's how it feels. As an outside, uneducated observer. Andy, I'm not sure how I would make sure that the hook is part of the pivot, other than it looks like it is. I don't have another easy way of testing. Like, until we have control over it. I think it looks like it's on the right bit. I don't know how to check. No, yeah, without gaining control over it, I don't know how to check. Cross that bridge once I put them all on. It's not that big a deal to have to redo them. Could be worse. I'm glad I discovered that you can put, you can clip the blocks through the propeller block, though. So I can make a nice little neat shape like this. I was really worried when I had to offset it by half a block that I couldn't do that. I'm going to guess that a lot of components are going to allow me to do things like that to clip through them. I don't know how to install a quick test throttle. Because I haven't yet learnt how to assign things when they're attached via a router instead of attached directly. So I actually don't know how I would quickly test this. There we go. Props placed. One cable connected. Two cables connected. What's the bet? One of these high voltage cables is going to be wrong or something along those lines. And one of these props just isn't going to spin. Oh yeah, true. True, I could do that. Could just slap down a throttle lever. And test each one. There we go. That's correct. I don't think I've data connected up the rotors yet, so I can do that on all of them. Whee! That works pretty well.
I think we're up and running.
Nice. I also think I've done a fair bit over here too. I'm just testing to make sure I've attached the blocks to the correct bit.
Who said? I'll come over and have a look.
I'm just gonna pop through this.
Biggest thing I want them to fix in this game is such a tiny thing. It's hilarious, but it's still really annoying.
Which thing?
The inability to open your inventory when you're already dragging an item.
Ah.
Every single time I open the box, I find the thing I want, I start dragging it, then realize my inventory's closed, press tab, and it doesn't do anything. I have to put the item back, press tab, and then do it again. It's a tiny little thing, but I'd love for it to not be a thing.
Yep. Wait, why isn't this one spinning? The other ones have power connected? They must have. Yep. Now, where was I running that low voltage power from and to? I think it's that one. Yeah. Oh, no. Dang it. Just discovered a thing I haven't actually put in the low voltage through the arm for. And it is super glitchy when you go inside a router to place cables inside it.
Yep.
Oh, but do let me know when you want ultra long spools.
I will do.
Really quite nice. Oh dear. Just had a horrible thought. What if low voltage cables... What if it matters how much voltage they're getting through to them for the pivots? As in, if I've divided one of them more than another, will it make that pivot move slower? I suspect not. I suspect if it's got enough power, it's got enough power.
Yeah. I mean, in reality, if it's actually doing voltage the way it suggests it is, it should make it slower, but I don't think it will.
That's going to be an annoying problem if it is present. I don't have an easy fix. Oh, I might have a fix. Still won't be easy though.
I don't think it will, because it's not telling us how much voltage it's receiving. I don't think it even cares.
That's reassuring. Where the heck is the data port on this thing? Where have I hidden it? Ugh. Ugh. Is that it there? Oh, there it is. All right, all of the props have been tested. So you said slightly less than max radius was optimal. Your particular craft.
Yeah, for the plane. I mean, what it's going to be for this, no clue. I suspect not the same.
I feel like these props feel undersized for the job they're going to do. Oh well.
A bit, yeah.
Do you want me to just do the biggest size anyway?
We can always whack another one on top.
I'll go 3 meters. I think 3 meters looks better.
And that is the key to good aerodynamics and flight characteristics, is making sure it looks the part.
I mean, you say that facetiously, but there is a nugget of truth there.
But is that not the truth only because science has predetermined in our heads what things should look like? Because that's what things
absolutely
look
it is. You look at...
I think this is a chicken and egg. I think the science came first. And that's why we think planes look right, because they look like planes, is because the science designed them.
Yep.
Although probably not to begin with. I suspect to begin with it was, does it look smooth? If it looks smooth, then clearly it's sleek. Let's go.
Well, I mean, that's how hydrodynamics were determined for a long time, and then realized that sleek was not actually the best for everything.
Kind of are to some extent. Let's be real. A lot of hydrodynamics still fluid dynamics still comes from going, how does that fish and or bird shape itself?
Yeah. All right. Props are plugged in. Pivots are plugged in.
Got to get the thing I went to get.
I think all of the key stuff is plugged in. The only thing left, which it looks like you're starting to work on because you put a couple of slopes down, will be screens.
That was the basis for the dashboard, yep. I was actually planning on removing the slopes again afterwards.
Okay. They almost look like little foot plates.
Use that to, yeah, I positioned right for foot plates, but I know what you mean. It's using that to get an angle on the screen,
yep.
Basically.
I was avoiding doing any more of the styling until we had more of the stuff in.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then I was going to try and skin it at that point.
Well, what other stuff do we need, Mr. Splits? What's your thoughts?
Ground anchors we need. Which is pretty simple. Yeah, I was wanting to put windows and stuff in. At some point. Yeah, I can probably put the ground anchors in and connect them up. Because annoyingly, I think we are going to have to land flat on our belly for the drill to work. Much as I would like to put us up on skids.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I haven't put any of the sensors down either. You're going to need sensors, aren't you?
Yeah. 100% I need sensors.
Same setup as is on the plane.
I don't know.
As in the 3.
Probably on this one, gonna want a few extra. So we're gonna need angles of tilt covered, but we're probably gonna want an angular rotation sensor in there as well.
So they all.
We're gonna want it to hold itself level, so we need the 3 tilt sensors to work out
Yep.
level. But we are also going to probably end up with some inherent twist in how we move.
Yeah.
We're going to get some gyroscopic forces. And so having a angular momentum sensor would let me, or angular movement sensor would let, angular velocity sensor would let me counter some of that.
Okay. Are they better on the roof or are they fine under the floor?
Depends which one. Angular velocity needs to be as close to center as possible, but on the roof would be okay as long as it's bang in the middle on the roof. Kind of the same for all of them. Okay. As long as they're bang in the middle, roof or bottom is kind of fine. There's no twist or give in the aircraft, so it should read the same from pretty much anywhere, as long as it's close to center line, because we don't want it.
Right, I'll make a few sensors and I'll pop them down and you can move them if you feel they're not right.
I am far from some sort of expert, Mrs. Smercy.
You know more than I do, so I'm just going to go with what you say. What do I need? Another circuit. No. Pacing? Yes. Alright, so I got 3 tilt sensors, 2 angular velocity sensors, and an altitude sensor.
Oh, really fancy.
Oh. I think we may want that.
Yeah, probably not a bad plan.
The altitude sensor I'm just going to shove
right.
down under the floor, though. Okay, so we want all axis of tilt, and we want it relatively close to center of mass. How am I going to do that? And you know what? I'm just going to put them down. I don't... Wasted can fix them when he decides what he needs for them, what he wants to use them for. And because that's up the top, I'm going to make another router and I'm going to put it up the top so that he can plug into it directly.
Makes some sense. Rooted are underneath.
Yep. So there's one in each prop. Out on the
One
arms.
underneath.
One underneath, and I'm just about to put one on the roof.
I had potentially not thought this through, but we may need one just underneath where the seats are.
All right.
Between dashboards and
Oh yeah, of course.
whatnot else, there's going to be quite, and the seats themselves, there's going to be quite a few wires there.
Yep. I'll go make another one. You did mention one before, and I just clearly spaced on it.
Sorry, Mr. Splits, what did you say? I took my headphones off to clean my glasses, and...
All good. I was just realizing that you probably did ask me for those. You did tell me about the mini router onto the seats, and I just forgot to do it. What else do we need for this? Diodes. Oh yeah. If my aesthetic design messes with center of mass too much, that'll be a problem. But I'm kind of guessing where center of mass is, so yeah. It's probably not an issue. It's really nice having all these crafters.
Oh, so many things you can do now.
Yeah, what are you complaining about? What am I missing?
I even gave you lights.
Oh, nice.
And a switch and everything.
You did American switching though.
I'm going to do up is up. And then label it.
Thanks, Elora. What do I need else? So we've got casing, we've got circuits, we've got connectors, no. No, not on the panels. Screws? Jeez, we are out of screws. Unexpected. Alright, I have the mini router ready to go for the cockpit. There you go. One mini router underneath the seats.
Nice, thank you.
Good choice on the height of the screens, I think.
Tried that a few times over before I decided that that was about right.
Yeah, because we're going to be wanting to look a little bit down when flying this most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, indeed. It's one of those ones that's very easy to put them in front of you, but I know from experience that that's not where you look, really.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I need to set up an ore detector. That's the other thing I need to do. But I was leaving the ore detector until we had everything else, because I can relatively easily set that up as an independent thing.
But also, I was thinking we could whack the program in and then connect it up to that screen that's in the middle at the bottom.
Ah.
Because changing which screen it's hooked up to would be really straightforward.
Yeah.
And then we can have it just on our dash instead of having the actual ore detector sitting there with all of its bits.
Yep.
Especially knowing how generally forgiving this game is with its rerouting of the computer.
Yeah.
You can get away with it a bit before it starts to give you trouble.
Okay, I think I've provided you all the bits that I understand how to provide you. All of the parts for your various tilt sensors are up on the roof, so you can rewire them as you see fit. I'll connect up the router that's on there. You don't need to do that, but... Nope, that went too far.
Alright, I'm just... Your board is getting annoyed at dashboard positionings. Which is something I entirely did to myself, so it's not like I complain or anything. I caused this.
Oh. These switches.
Mm-hmm.
Fancy.
Switches and LUDs.
LUDs?
LEDs.
Oh, LEDs. Ah. Fancy.
Right. Aha. And router.
I need to plug in this one, although this one's super easy to plug in.
I didn't notice that the seats themselves have a smooth controls toggle.
Oh.
Spectator vessels.
I love that you couldn't put the switch in the exact center, so you put two of them.
Yep.
Exactly what I would have done.
One for each person. Obviously.
Obviously. You don't want to have to reach when you're in a cockpit. Nice and easy. I love it. One of the routers is almost completely occupied already.
Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
I don't even think I've plugged in the... No, I haven't even plugged in the drill. Do you need data from the cargo container for anything?
No, because cargo containers don't have a maximum capacity, so no, not really. That would only be useful if we were, like, wanting to track on a screen how much we got in it. Yep. Or how much of what we've got in it, you know?
That's what I was thinking.
Also, if you fly from UK to EU airspace, you have to swap seats. Right. Oh, it's fine. Both me and us are in agreement as to which side of this is driven
We are?
from.
Makes it easy. Then we just need someone who lives in Japan, and then we're sorted. We can all gang up on everyone else.
Just be like, we're right, you're all wrong, and we've got voices, and you only have chats, so ha ha ha.
looking around, seeing if there's anything else I haven't plugged in.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
there's the answer. It's a wedge hog we need.
I still see him in the comments on YouTube occasionally.
Yeah, he's still around. Obviously, his time zone's completely different to us, so... Yes. At odd hours, but I do occasionally see him. As far as I'm aware, still doing pretty well. I mean, it's terrifying, but yeah, still doing well in Japan as a teacher.
I reckon he could be one of those fun teachers.
Uh-huh. I think he is. There's a little bit of terror because it is still wedgy, but I actually think he'd be a good laugh. Although he's teaching English and with his accent.
There is the other part of me that wonders if he's like Greg Davies, the English comedian.
Oh yeah. No,
For those unfamiliar.
I know Greg. Not personally. But...
Okay. An angular velocity sensor. Which is surprising that apparently the ore scanner needs that.
What?
Yeah, the color ore scanner needs it. It also wants a low voltage battery. Hopefully we'll be able to remove that.
What on earth?
Yeah.
Yeah, just imagine for a second. You've got a Japanese tourist arrived in the UK for the first time. He walks up to you, he's out to ask for directions, and then he opens his mouth and speaks to you in relatively clear English with a thick West Country accent, thanks to Wedgehog. That would be a shock.
Oh man. Oh good, I can put that away. Mini computer wants LEDs, 10 circuits. I need circuits.
Okay.
Speed sensor. Oh yeah, do you want a speed sensor?
Yeah, actually. Sure. Sounds good.
Oh, magnets. I swear I just want to leave these making some things, but then I'm like, we'll end up with so many and we'll have wasted all our resources and it'll be really annoying.
Oh God. Lane, I'm sorry. I forgot.
What'd you do?
It's been over there drilling the entire time.
I had a momentary one. I was like, I wonder if Waster's, nah, it'll be fine. He won't have done that.
I brought ore back and then got completely distracted and never went back.
I love that you left that. That's perfect.
Okay, we are at 51% efficiency.
Have we run out of power?
And nope. And
Oh.
we are 650 meters down. We also probably won't have a resource problem for a little while.
Good. Oh. Okay, I now maybe understand why this needs multiple sensors. This thing's weird.
Because it moves.
It does more than just move. It kind of... It has double pivots. Oh no, wait, I think they're just both on the same pivot. Never mind. Don't mind me. Which way do I want this facing? I stick it in front of the computer? No. I think I'll stick it in the middle of the floor. There we go, wasted. Check out our color ore scanner.
One moment, let me just unload our ore.
It's also got a terrain scanner function, so you can see whether it's over land or water. Oh. That's fancy. Can just scan in front of you too. All right. Do want to get rid of that battery though. Let's see how quickly I break this thing. Terrain scanner part uses a lot of power. Huh. Doesn't seem to have an option to turn that off though, independently. Land C off. Oh, hang on. Or one. Ah. So that would turn off the terrain scanner function, I guess?
I want to reconnect. I seem to have lost the ability to... Oh no, drone mode messed up. I see. As soon as I exited drone mode, it was like, ah, here, let me catch up on all the things you've just done.
Ah. Weird.
Yeah, this has been really, like, minute and a half later, it's doing the bits. Weird.
Very, very weird.
Let's reconnect.
Oh, I need a bridge. that to a bridge. That to the other bridge. Okay. Now I should be able to remove the battery. Then I just need to plug in the computer. To find its power point, which I always seem to struggle with. I might just click on it somewhere and hope that this doesn't make a mess. Now we see if this all works, which it looks like it does.
That man just popped out of thin air. Oh wow, this is a device, isn't it?
Yeah. You can set up the config for what ores we're scanning for. You can see up the top what the colors are set to. Unfortunately, they're using red and green, which is not cool.
Yeah. Probably be fixed. What was I doing? I was doing aliases, everyone's fun task. Don't you like to do aliases?
If I knew what they were, yeah, sure. If I just connect up any old dashboard to this mini computer, do you think it'll still work?
It looks like it needs a HD screen. That's not the standard screen. That's an HD screen.
Oh.
And let me have a look at the code quickly to see what is going on as far as what monitor is printing to.
Because I guess we want to duplicate it.
Yep, as long as it's on port 0.
Okay. Let's see how this goes.
As long as it's... Oh, and let me go and remove this bottom screen here and replace it with a HD one.
What I was also thinking of doing is, do you think I can duplicate it by putting it through a data junction?
Possibly. Don't see any reason why not.
Give it a go.
I mean, it's worth noting, Joey, and a few other people that have been asking about what this game is. This game is legitimately, at least on a minor level, you know, on a sort of more, no, not minor level, high level, not specific programming code language basis, starting to teach me programming. Tiny bits at a time, but because it's so wrapped up in the game and how it works.
Okay, I don't think the data junction works.
It does not look like it, no.
No. Let me just make sure I haven't broken things before I assume that the data port is the problem.
So, if I can... Actually, no. Finish what you're doing, then I'll house you.
Yep. Okay. Data junction doesn't work, so we can only have one screen, which is fine, because I can just start moving parts of this gradually to hide them, I guess. Yes, you wanted me to do a thing?
I wanted your opinion on a thing.
Oh.
Which is why I didn't want to distract you too much, because it requires a bit of thought rather than a bit of doing.
Okay.
Naming convention for things like propellers. We have a front left, a front right, etc. What naming convention do we use?
I'm comfortable with either... I quite like right and left, largely because it's more distinct than P and S.
I'm not going to do port and starboard, no.
Yeah. So I guess just fore and aft.
I'm wondering whether the question is it the front left prop or is it the left front prop?
Oh, what's more, which is taking priority, which is the prefix?
Yeah, because just so that when we do names, we
I think side first.
Yes, okay.
The reason I'm saying that is because we have battery banks on either side, so they're going to be named as just a side. And there are a couple of other things that are just going to be labeled as that side.
Okay, and I'm probably going to, because, right, an alias is basically, instead of addressing something just by adding it as an input or an output, once you start using routers, you have to give them names and you address them via the name. You can then have infinite number of things you can address. Routers can pass information between each other and so on, which means that I'm going around and adding aliases is me going around and essentially naming the parts so that they can be referenced in code.
Yep.
And as part of that, I am going to use, so LF prop, as opposed to writing it out in full.
Yep.
Just because that's going to make the eventual, like, code for it just X amount shorter.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm including prop still and not just P is because I suspect we'll end up with more than one P.
And readability matters. Oh, poo.
Yeah, you can still quickly recognize what it is.
Speaking of aliases, I think if I want to make it so that this screen can appear on multiple screens, I need to alias the screen and redo some of the code in this thing. Because I've piped it up to the router underneath the front seats. My chat's saying front would be first rather than side. One sec, just filling up my water bottle. I think Wasted's messing with this. I'm not sure if what he's doing. Because he's muted. Holy cow. Looking at this script. Wasted, have you looked at this script to see what we'd have to mess with?
Yeah, I know exactly what's a mess. It's been set up quite cleverly. It's like Space Engineer's code. So, not far down, you're looking for the section titled Attached Devices.
Oh, yeah.
Everything but the screen is using an alias already.
Ah.
You see how they've all got aliases on them? The screen isn't. All we need to do is change the 00 to the first 0 is where we put our new alias now. Yep. And the second 0 is whatever port it's plugged into.
Okay, it's still plugged into port 0. The router is
Yes.
anyway.
So we can just put mid dash with capital M and D instead of the first 0, and that should shift it over.
Let's see if that works. I have not plugged in the dash yet. Need to do that,
Right,
obviously.
I think the dash is plugged in. Oh no, I reset it, didn't I? Or did I?
I don't
No,
know.
the dash is plugged in.
Oh. Mid dash is in MID, then capital D.
Yeah. Yep.
Hmm. Does it need the rotation for alias? Probably does.
Probably yes.
You changed the screen type over, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Port 0 connected to mini router on port 4. So is that on the dash? Got the name right. Something like that. Why are you being like this?
I don't know. I think it's the port number unless you reconnected it wrong.
Well, when I looked
It
at the mini
might
computer,
not
it
like-
still says router on port 0. So I've put it on the correct
Yes,
thing.
I'm thinking that this might not be liking the routing here.
Yeah. So, is there another way we can alias a screen?
Well, you could connect it directly.
Yeah, I was just trying to see if we could get a way with having both screens.
Yeah. Because I can only assume that that is wait a sec.
Because that's also something you're going to want to do for our dashboard screens, isn't it?
This dashboard is also called mid-dash.
Is that the problem?
The one on the computer is called the same thing.
Oh, no,
don't
I just
think you can have
renamed it.
the
I
same
thought,
alias twice.
So how would we send it to both?
That would almost certainly take some code modification
Okay.
beyond what we're doing.
Okay. So it seems like the easiest thing to do here is just to unplug it and plug it back in directly. But
How is this? Does this have an on-off button or not?
on the screen it does.
Okay, so you wouldn't need the switches. So yeah,
No.
that'll be easy enough. Right, that dashboard is disconnected. And select it just by looking at the very bottom of it.
All right.
It lets you extend the screens out of the dashboard area, so I just put a little strip of dash at the bottom, because then you
Yep.
can make the screen transparent if you want.
Yep. All right. Let's just get rid of this screen altogether.
And bear with me, Mr. Splitty, I need a quick bio break.
No worries.
Okay, we got... And then I have sensors to alias, apparently. Blooming hell. Roger that.
Yeah. Yeah, and probably sensors to reorient and things like that. Cool. We got OR dash up the front. Wait. It's still got the alias there. Huh. Is there any way to do the screen command without referencing a port? So it just references this? Like if... No. Screen takes 2 arguments. So how do you put a screen through a router then? Oh, for this particular purpose, Salaroth, do the routers need to be powered? Unpowered routers do not pick up name changes. Ah, okay. So I'll plug in the router then. Okay, that router's plugged in now. Well... Oh, wait. I need... Yeah. I need to plug both the... No, I did plug the computer into the router. Let's try this again. Now that it's powered. So if we go 0... And here. But this was the first router from the computer and it wasn't powered. So that's one of the things that I was told I had to do. Okay. Oops. Okay. Resave it? Nope, no display. Yeah, the router's got 2 computers connected to it, that's correct. Oh well. We tried to do it more fancily, but I guess we just go with the basic. Rid of that. Get rid of that. Zalaroth, I wouldn't worry. I was only keeping the screen back there for coolness' sake. It was not really going to be watched. So I'm happy enough to just have this work. Zalaroth, I am actually on the Discord, as Bacholi did invite me specifically to this game. Let's get rid of that. And I might just close this thing in. Leave it as is. So part of me does want to move these over to try and center them. Okay, let's get the names of these. Or pivot. Or scanner. Terrain scanner. So that's, I'm assuming these names are not ones I need to remember. And should just last as, should just be there, but just in case. So I'm going to try and move these to the midline. Then what ports are they on? I know it's doing, I don't think it's using ports, but just in case. Or pivot is on 2. Or scanner is on 1. And terrain scanner is on 5. Okay. Let's see how much I break this now. Actually, I'm going to lift that up one more block. Then we go ore scanner. And terrain scanner. Set the name. Or pivot. Does anyone remember if that was in servo mode or not? Because I don't remember. Okay. Uh-oh. What did I do with my paintbrush? Where have I dropped a paintbrush around? Hang on, let me just sort that out. I want to paint a block. Did I put my paintbrush away? I did. Oh, good. You're fixing up the sensor positions.
Yeah, having a go at the sensor positions and so on. We had a few more than we needed. Was all that was really the deal.
Yep. I just
had a couple of anglers on there.
I figured I'd just shove a bunch up there that I remembered you vaguely saying and let you fix it because I wasn't really sure. Okay. Now I think, let me do this. I need to lift this up one higher. Or, hang on. I get rid of that. Slopes. Nope. I want this one higher. Now, where is it? Do all that again. So my idea is that I can do that, and then I can do this. No, it doesn't let me! Why does it let me place some of these, but not others? 3 of the 4 are allowed?
Mr. Splitsy,
Yes?
how did you plan to get these sensors to a... Oh, it's right there.
The router that's on the roof?
Wasted. Yep, yep.
That router is also...
use mine eyes.
That router is also connected.
Yep, yep, yep. No, it's all actually been thought through already. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm just being...
Yeah. Nuts. I mean, ultimately, this still looks better. Yeah, I reckon I can't place anything in that spot, is my assumption. And similarly, I can't place stuff on top in only that one block. So it's occupying both of these. Interesting. Oh well. That shouldn't be too big a problem because I was still going to put this there. Make it look a little bit neat and interesting, and we can have that like that. I still think it looks neater than it did before. Is that the block you centered it from? It probably is the block that I started the centering from, yeah. I think it's still ultimately worth doing in this case because I still want to have the thing centered because I think it just looks better. Okay, so pivot goes to 2. There. Let's just check that it did go to the correct port. Small pivot on port 2. All right, and ore scanner goes to 1. I did that ugly. Let's do it again. Oh, no, I need some stuff. Maybe the wires will look better with the hole. Yeah, that's true. That's a fair point. Oh, I've got lots of low voltage bridges. I need a data bridge. I should just need 2. Yep. Get rid of that. Then we can have some data bridges down here that it can connect to, so the wires go basically straight through the center of the thing. And I'm also going to need these. Wait, no, those are already in use, I think. Was I already powering? I must have already been powering those directly. That must have been going to... I have 2 of these? I do. Might move them. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No! I picked up the computer! I grabbed the wrong thing. I gotta redo all this whole... I gotta redo the whole thing. Ah, that's so annoying. Ugh. No, I did not have a screenshot of the computer connections. I have the drive, I know, but it's all... Like, I feel like it's going to be just as hard to redo the thing as it is to...
What do you see, Mrs. Mate?
I made a mistake.
It's a bit of flaw that he's looking very intently at.
Yeah, that used to have an ore scanner on it?
Yeah. I did notice something was missing.
Yeah, I did dumb.
What did you do?
I accidentally removed the computer.
Okay, yeah.
While I was trying to do some other stuff.
It's not going to be easy.
And honestly, it's probably going to be easier for me to rebuild the... Like, build the thing and then redo it from its... Because I think me building it from scratch is not going to work. Or maybe. Let me see if I can make it work. Hmm. You know what? I'm going to attempt to reassemble this thing and see how it goes. See if I can make it work. Because honestly, sticking it there would be so much nicer. Then I'll stick the computer under the thing.
All right, while I've been aliasing, I've been randomly chatting to chat about RC.
No worries.
Why I've been a bit silent.
I've been, breaking stuff, so, you know. And attempting to understand how to... Seeing if I think I can manage to get this computer moved under the floor. I'm going to attempt it, but I don't feel confident. Largely because I don't know what the angular velocity sensor was called or what orientation it had.
It tells you what it was called in the thing, but I cannot help you with the orientation.
True, it does tell me what it was called. Oh, we've got a velocity sensor apparently.
You were making one of those for us.
I have. I will put it down somewhere. Got it up on the roof with the others. Does it make some sense? Just to cluster them. There is a there is a velocity sensor. Do you want it named a particular thing?
Call it velocity.
Done.
I'm keeping the name simple for this one. Pitch is called pitch. Velocity is called velocity. Angle is called angle, etc.
Very nice.
Do not need to include sensor in every single one for no reason. Meanwhile, the prop naming scheme did change for very good reason. Someone suggested something in my chat that I loved.
Okay.
If you put prop first, so it's prop rear right, prop
Yep.
front right, etc.,
Yep.
you can then start using expressions for searching.
Ah.
So you could control all the props via a single expression, or just the right props, or just the rear props, depending on how you write it.
Yep.
Yeah, variable prop bridge is a fair point.
Can I determine from this wireframe which way this velocity sensor is facing? Yes. There we go. And then we go 0 up to the screen. Get some power. Screen is displaying something, so that part I haven't broken. Well, this makes me much happier. Also, it makes me really happy that I broke this ore scanner down and I've been able to reassemble it so far, which is a big step up from the first time I broke apart the ore scanner and just completely broke it.
Especially the simple one as well.
Hmm.
Oops. Let's see, have you wired in everything yet?
I had wired in a lot of things, yes.
Not a complaint. I'm just noticing that. I think I'm seeing this correctly. None of the left props are wired in at the moment.
Oh.
Am I right?
It's possible.
Yes, I am right. Okay, just checking.
Wait, left. You said left. Props.
Yes, the left. I thought I'd messed up my naming for a second, but then I went around and I was like, no, I'm pretty sure, but I can attach data cables to them.
Oh, right, the prop itself. Yes, I didn't connect the prop to the bridge.
Yeah, so I do not get the information.
Sorry about that. I got distracted testing to see whether I'd messed up some other aspect of it and forgot to actually finish the job.
Did not want to. Also, I don't think, have you connected the hinges either?
Probably not, no.
Okay. Making it difficult for me.
What?
I don't know at what point this thing ended up with its propped higher at the front than the back. I swear the original plan was the other way.
I think it was the other way around, and then it just ended up this way, and I just kind of left it.
But that's fine. I'm just checking that I'm not.
We definitely planned it the other way around.
Plot here is like. Where did you hide the data bridge? Or is it just going straight into the router?
Straight into the router.
I suppose the data just goes straight into the router, doesn't
yeah.
it? Yeah. Means I can fix these. Yeah, you did all of left side and none of right side, basically.
Huh.
So even the hinges on one side were done.
Great job, me.
Or pivots, I should say.
Yep, definitely only did half the job. Yeah, I think I've powered everything up.
Cool. I am literally just getting all of the inputs and outputs in the program before I do anything else. Make sure they're named and organized so I get my head somewhere sensible. Know what I'm dealing with. Don't have to go find anything. Make sure they're all in the right order. We did have a drill, but we didn't have a anchor. Is that correct?
We've got 2 anchors now, and they are plugged in. 2 anchors and a drill.
On the anchors. I see. I thought of the second thing that's super simple that I would like changed.
Hmm?
Pressing V to inspect an item, and then V again to close the box that it's opened, also closes the programming window you have open.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not for me. Or do you want it to do that?
Maybe because I haven't minimized. To try minimizing it, then looking at something.
Yeah, it's tapping
hitting
V
to get its stats up, and then tap V again to close it.
Yep, it's staying open for me. That's weird.
What the? I must be occasionally pressing escape then.
Hmm. Yeah, because escape definitely closes everything.
Some severe muscle memory from previous games.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second. Is this not... No? Oh. That's what's not working. Trying to work out what I hadn't plugged in, and I finally found it. Hmm. I'm looking at the scanner thing here and just seeing your little disc, your little Roomba floating in front of me.
He's pleased with himself. Look at him. He's figured it out.
I don't know that I have.
It looks like you have. What's the problem?
Let me just see. Well, the fact that it should be showing iron and it's not showing anything.
Well, it means you've broken just the scanner bit. Which is probably your angular velocity sensor. Or something, I don't know.
You insert data bridges, the data bridge needs the alias?
Maybe.
Oh, okay. That one's going to the scanner. Hey! It is working now.
Nice.
Ah! Yes!
Is it bad coding form to just have a big old collection of all my available like variables and stuff sitting at the bottom of the file?
I won't tell if you don't. Yes.
Those down there for when I forget what stuff's called.
All right. I've done the ore scan a bit, which I'm pretty happy about.
Let me copy inputs, damn you.
Oh yeah, I should test my orientation to see if that was right. Looks pretty good.
I've found a flaw. I've dragged my reference off the bottom of the screen and can only see it when zoomed out. I've gone too far. We have broken it.
Oh, I'm really happy that I managed to reassemble that ore scanner. Now that so that it doesn't need to be in the middle of the floor, and it makes me feel like
Yeah,
it doesn't need to have a screen of its own. Small victories. Small victories.
Did you give me an altitude sensor?
I thought I did. Let me see if I've got one in my inventory. I don't, which means I probably put it on. I probably put it on the bottom somewhere. Is that it? Yeah, I will call it altitude.
Okay, thank you. And what about a speed sensor?
That is called velocity.
Oh yeah, we talked about this, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, just let me go.
It's on the roof.
Oh god, no, I think I might have actually dragged it so far I can't get it back out again. Okay.
All functions work. I guess now is time for me to try and test out some cockpit designs. No, Andy, it's correct. The angles were correct.
Up, down. Do we need dual PID for this? No.
It just probably wasn't particularly clear on stream, but you could see that it scanned from where it had started. Because it was outside the range, it moved into the range, and then it moved back and forth in the correct 90-degree range.
We need PID at all for this.
I don't know. You seem to quite like PIDs.
For later, potentially.
Oh, that's not where I wanted that to go. Can you request a bubble front? You can request it. It can't be met, because then we won't be able to see.
Yeah, we might want an altitude hold.
Where's
That's
my
a
mirroring
fair
off?
point. Let's do it. And
And I need to make some blocks. Oh, I just love having these constructors working.
just being able to go down and go, yes, I need things, please. Do all of these things. Go.
Yep. Just thinking back to those first couple of streams where we were having to manufacture stuff by hand and just the time it took to get some of the more complex blocks. I fully expect that they'll tweak some of that, but it's nice to not have to wait for that to happen. Oh, this is going to hurt my brain trying to think about what blocks I need to use where. So used to playing games like Space Engineers that just have simple cubes and stuff that this gets hard. It's just so much more complicated having to think through the basic shapes and how you're going to achieve something. So you're like, oh, I can get something more complex here. I can get a little bit more interesting. And then it's like, well, should I? Or am I just making my life really, really hard in doing so? Now, something I need to remember is that the floor actually going to be down here, at least for part of it, because we've got to cover up all the cables. I just kind of started forgetting about that with what I was doing before. Yeah, I don't think we're going to manage to have a glass floor. Largely because the refractions will be nightmarish. I'm going to see how bad it is if I mess around with a few. Oh, wait, hang on a sec. Glass needs to be selected first. And also have as few block seams as possible. Although I think both Wasted and I have turned refractions off, so maybe it won't be so bad. Because the glass refractions are properly awful when you're trying to use a cockpit. Because the glass is so thick. That looks okay. That doesn't look too janked. Why did I put that on the hotbar? That didn't need to be there. Wait, don't tell me that painting actually has a transparency option. I don't think it does. It's got matte, chrome, and glossy. Yeah, that's it. If it did have a transparent option, that would be very weird. Let's go back to composite blocks. And that to there. This one. And I'm almost certainly going to need to redo these angles once I've fully set the walls, but I'm just kind of toying with some angles at the moment. It's like I'm going to need to, if I want to keep that angle, I've got to get rid of the floor, that sort of thing. Yeah, it's looking like a nice-ish front. Maybe it needs admin, but there is a way to paint cable transparent. Huh. If it needs admin, it's not something that will do. Oh, that's too... No, maybe the roof can... Yeah, maybe the roof can be a bit higher at the front. How does that look from the cockpit? Not too bad. Yeah, I'm tempted to do a domed roof. I think I might, but the trouble with that is we've already got these set down and I do not want to touch any of this. So I probably will just make the outside domed, but the inside as is. But what I was thinking of doing was just having a little bubble for the cockpit bit. Just putting a little slope in there. And the frames, I plan to remove most of them once we're happy with where things are at, but I'm leaving them there as a bit of a guide for the moment. Now here's the tricky part. And I should have thought this part through. What I needed to have done was actually make it so that I could follow simple angles to keep any walls at the front narrow. Which I didn't do, and I need to simplify these angles so that I can follow it. the ore scanner drop down from the ceiling instead of slope down from the floor? Maybe. I think Wasted's right, though. I think we'll end up looking down more, so keeping it down there makes sense. And if we're scanning the ground, it kind of... There's an inherent logic there, which I like. Do we even have the blocks necessary to do the angles I'm messing with here? I don't think we do.
Slowly, the mind unravels.
I know how you're feeling. I'm trying to do a bubble.
What?
We don't have the blocks for a bubble.
Impossible. It cannot be done.
Pretty much.
Of course, you're trying to do glass, aren't you? Oh, good luck with that.
Well, I've done some glass on the front. I'm just trying to figure out how to transition it to the next bit. And
But that means you haven't done the glass yet, my friend. Unfortunately,
yes,
because
true.
The first bit's the easy bit. It's the transition that always gets you. Everything's fine until the transition arrived. And then... I do like it, though. A bit of a... industrial vehicle vibe. Feel like we should paint it yellow.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, actually,
black accents.
Maybe I could lean into that.
Side or something.
Maybe I can lean into that and
choose that to not have to worry about the transition so much. Yeah. Let's put some like big bulky spars and stuff on it. You know, reinforcement and framing.
Yep, I like this. Yes.
JCB. I like the fact that this game is one of the very few ones that has managed to find a legitimate reason why you might want to cooperate on building even a relatively small vehicle. Otherwise, man, building a vehicle in this game takes a very long time. And we are almost to the point where we have infinite resources and it's still taking forever.
Yep. Especially to build something nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we've something... We've done the janky. We did that once. That's fine. That was fun.
Oh man, I'm so glad you suggested going more industrial. I don't know why it took me it being suggested before I would even think of that, considering the number of times you'd go that angle with space engineers. I guess it's the clean aesthetic.
Yeah, this game looks very clean by default, so yeah, I can see that. The only reason I thought of it is because I randomly, earlier today, watched something on Twitter, which was a guy taking a picture, a photograph of a JCB digger and converting it into a, like, hand-drawn spacecraft. Themed off of the same thing by, you know, bit of photo manipulation and grabbing bits and reference materials and then drawing over the top and so on.
All right.
And it's the only reason it jumped to my mind is I just happened to watch something earlier. It was like, literally.
Yeah. It gives a lot of creative freedom to shaping when you go, yep, I'm going to make this chunky. I'm going to make this big rather than small. I'm going to have ridge lines and various bits breaking up the shape. I'm not trying to do a perfectly smooth Star Trek ultra modern inspired shape. And I think it's actually an extra challenge in a game like this where it does have such smooth blocks. Because it gives you...
Make it look a bit more industrial, yeah, because you can't just lean into the texture.
Yeah.
It's not going to do it for you on its own.
I can't just leave all of the explosive blocks exposed on the outside to make it look nice. So if I've done that, what will I do for... I think I'll now remove the floor that I did then. Because that doesn't need to be that shape. Oh. I discovered a block placement limitation that I anticipated but hoped wouldn't be the case. If you place one angled block with a particular slope, you can't use the space that it leaves to place a different angular block.
Okay, I wouldn't have seen that one coming. Fair enough.
I kind of expected it because of the way it handles other shapes. Oh no, that's not the way I wanted that around. I'll just do that. Um,
Time for some severe ad stacking. Let's go.
Add stacking? Oh, as in stacking lots of additions?
Well, yes, because obviously we've got 4 propellers, and those propellers are responsible for handling 4 different axes of movement. Essentially, you were going to have to, with those, tilt, rotate, yaw, and pitch, rotate, yaw, and also just straight thrust vector.
Yep.
Although so far the way the thrust vector is going to be set out is going to be very much, you're not defining how much thrust you apply, but what height you want to be at.
Okay.
So it's on control and space, but instead of going a direct route to, hey, apply this much thrust, everything's going to need to vector based on the other inputs. So it's much easier to say, hey, just try and maintain me at this height above terrain.
Yep.
And then your inputs will say, hey, height above terrain go up, or height above terrain go down.
Yep. Makes a lot of sense.
With a straight up minimum that means that you can't go through the ground.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes, I do need some clamping. We need to think about this because you're right. Hitch does have min and max values. But it's going to be adjusting propeller speed, which also has min and max values. So we're going to need to do all of this and then clamp it back down to a value between 0 and 1.
That sounds very complicated.
Yeah, it just dawned on me. Sort of a vague idea how to do it. And with each value needs to be returned back to down to a sanitized value before it gets added to the chain. No, it doesn't. Sanitized value needs to come both before and afterwards. We need to take, before it goes into the final calculation, it needs to be brought back down to something sane.
I love that in this context, sanitized means made sane. As much as it means cleaned up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I like that. Shapes are hard. This is tricky. Need so many extra blocks to do these bits so I can try and make them somewhat thinner, but you can see how much thicker that section is than the other bits. And if I tried to use fewer blocks, I'd end up with so many, I'd end up with it so thick that it wouldn't work. It's an interesting design dilemma. Having so much freedom with the shape of the blocks, but not complete freedom. Like this has to be a perfectly straight up and down shape because I can't... I mean, I sort of could do this shape in glass, maybe, but I think it might be too thick. I'll give it a go.
That's looking good, man.
It's looking something. It's tricky as to try and decide how to do these bits of glass.
Yeah, I can imagine. Especially as you can't really see them properly.
Yeah, you've got refraction still off, don't you?
Yes.
Oh, do I try and make the shape out of composite and then replace it with glass? Nah.
To the wiki. Components, propulsion, propeller. Inputs do you take? Yes, it's both at speed and picture and a range from -1 to +1. So this all needs to be...
No, that doesn't work. Oh, I think I may have found the angles I needed. It's gonna be too steep. Why have I done this to myself? Why did I not just go with the simple shape here and just... I think I just kind of wanted to see if I could make this work. I think this might be the correct shape to match the angle of the composite blocks on the upper side. See how chunky it makes the glass, though. I think I nailed it. I think I got it. I wonder if they'll make it so that you can turn refraction off for certain bits of glass. As I feel like that might be a better solution than having to turn it off for everything just so you can have a cockpit. I've either got to do something like that or make the... I can't see a thing. Let's see where... Or make it so that all glass is not refractive. Because the refractive glass is problematic. Oh, did I misalign that? No, it's aligned to the right. Is it? Yeah, it is. Yeah. There we go. There we go. There we have it. Hey! I think that's enough bubble at the front. I'm really happy with that. Look at that. So from the seat... Yes. Yep. That is enough glass up front. I just need to fix this bit at the bottom. 'Cause it's now changed. That's good. Yes. Yeah, I think that's going to look pretty cool. I don't know that you can easily... You can sort of easily replace a block. Like, if I remove one of these, I can then place composite in its place and then quickly do the replacement. But it felt like that wasn't going to gain me enough to be worth my while. So I didn't bother. Now, what do I do with this side bit? I do need to put another line in that goes front to back. And then I've got to deal with the sides, which may well end up being slightly bulged to give it some more interest around there as well. But I got to bring this probably out a bit just to make this make some visual sense. Just going to reduce visibility a bit, so that's probably too much. Just go to there. How's that look? I think that mostly works. Might change this up though. It's industrial looking and then there's not being able to look because it's too industrial. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah. Oof. How goes the mind meltingness?
Not great.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to
great.
call it here because my brain's hurting from getting this cockpit sort of worked out.
Yeah, well, and especially as you spent the entire time prior to that busy coding yourself, so it wasn't exactly like... And you didn't even have the slight catharsis of being able to occasionally get in there and go, oh yeah, but I'm going to make it all look neat because it's visual coding instead. So at least I can tidy it all up for a second and then buy myself a few moments.
It is nice though.
It is looking good.
Thanks. I'm pretty happy with how the front looks. I have no idea how I'm going to tie the rest of it.
Like, you're hiding a lot of our turtle nature here. It actually might look respectable.
Yeah, and then you find out that I've used so much composite that the thing can't take off.
But at least it'll float.
True.
And then we just need to hinge it, and it becomes a boat. You know, no
Yeah.
real loss regardless.
Thanks, William. Thank you for the 34 months. Yeah, I'm... So, with where you're at with the coding, do you reckon we'd be having some test flights next week?
I need to get my head around it a bit better. Hopefully, yes. The issue is just trying to find a way mathematically to combine all of our various inputs into an output that makes sense for these thrusters.
Yep.
Because you can't add them together because then you've got 4 ones and that equals 4. You can't average them because then each individual control only gets 25% of the authority. So you need to find a way of mixing those inputs together in a sensible fashion.
It's almost like you need to tell each rotor what you want it to be doing, and then it tries to match that to that number.
Well, that's some of how it's set up at the moment, but the problem is you then need to be able to pass through a modifier.
Yeah.
And you can only connect so many things at once. So it's like, okay, so I can only connect up to the speed one output.
Yep.
One number needs to go to speed. So it's how do I combine those numbers in a way that doesn't end up either resulting in one of the resulting in the control systems being multiplied in such a way that they aren't as effective as they could be, or multiplied in such a way where control inputs get ignored.
Yep.
How do I take the 4 different incoming values, which are all being presented in slightly different formats, and pass them all together? Like, what is the sum you put that through in order to get something out of it? Because an average doesn't work.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? It's like,
That's all very, would there be any value, do you think, in looking at an existing one that's been coded? Although it's probably been coded rather than visually coded.
I think there will be more value in looking up more generic information about how this is done, not in Archean.
Yeah. How they balance
Because there
it
are
for real
people out
drones.
there that will have a, like, we'll have open source, like, drone code.
Yeah.
That will probably be written in relatively passable language. So I think I might go that route rather than looking at something that someone's done in Archean. I might go and look at a more real life example and use more of the theory of it as opposed to the direct thing.
On the plus side, you'll have plenty of time because it's going to take me a while to style this thing before you try and take off. So there's that.
Yeah. I mean, it's going well though.
Yeah. What are your plans now, stream-wise?
I will see. Mr. Andy's just sent me a link to a robotic site.
Nice.
With motor mixer theory. Thank you, Andy.
Nice one, Andy.
That was speedy. I will see if Mr. Avizern is still around, and then we may go and punch some Xenos in the face. For the glory of the Emperor and whatnot. Brother.
Cool. Well, my chat, let's go raid Wasted. I'll be back. What day is it? It's Friday. I'll be back on Sunday with some more Factorio with Shadow. And then on Monday with some more Abiotic with Wasted and the other guys. Also doing, hopefully, finishing... I just noticed your cheap gas sign and got distracted. Hopefully finishing my edit.
Been up for a while.
Yeah. Hopefully finishing my edit of my 100th episode of Assertive Acquisitions. Which I plan to release this weekend if I get it done today. We'll see how I go. Yeah. There's all that. Plenty more to come. Let's go raid Wasted.